Hi folks, Speedway Tag here. I want to do a little review of another new Button Shy game that's come out this year called Glass Garden. Button Shy Games, of course, put out these tiny little 18 card games in these wallets, which are just fabulous. This is a solo game, so you play this by yourself, which is really great. But in my house, all solo games are also multiplayer games as well, because my wife and I nut out the puzzle together, or a friend and I will get together and make the decisions together. So solo games are really can be multiplayer games as well. But if you're by yourself, they work beautifully as a little experience just for you and the game. This is Glass Garden. The theme is terrariums, and we got our first terrarium a couple of months ago. And we're really into them, but that terrarium's not surviving too well. So we're not real great gardeners or people with plants, but we're giving it a go. But this game is growing succulents in a terrarium. It's a really cool theme. It's quite unique. Let me show you how it plays. So here are the cards in the game. As I said, there's only 18, which is amazing with these games. They with just 18 cards, they create such a beautiful, engaging game. First of all, you've got the big glass jar, which is the terrarium there, and that's how it looks when it's in its entirety. But it's never going to look like that during the game, because this half is going to move there, this half is going to move there, and you're going to be working inside the terrarium. You get little critters for them that one of them will be added to your game to disrupt what you're doing, eat your plants, and just become really annoying. The fly's the easiest, the snail's probably the second easiest, and then you've got the ant and the worm. When I show you, we'll probably work with the snail. The actual succulents that you grow, artwork's fantastic. Cards are all linen finished as usual with Button Shy, top-notch quality. I've got some of these succulents in my garden already. As I said, we're not great gardeners, but some of them are surviving, thankfully. These on the back of these cards are the sprouts, or the seedling version of these succulents. All of the cards start like that in the game, and when you meet the requirements on the card, you grow the succulent and flip the card over, and then you see this beautiful artwork as well. So so these cards are going to be what you're working with during this game. Rulebook is really fantastic. I really love this rulebook. I don't take for granted a rulebook that's written well, written clearly, easy to follow, and that's one of the better ones I've come across. So yeah, big tick for the rulebook. Let me show you how we set up and how the game plays. Okay, this is what the game looks like set up. As I said, the jar splits in two, goes to the either end of the board, and you've got your critter starting on the left most space there, and then you've got all your sprouts in a row. And you work within this 9x3 grid. It looks like just one row at the moment, but effectively you are working in a 9x3 grid, which means cards will come into this row and into the top row as well. And so that's the plan. The setup is just like this. You shuffle the sprouts, put them all in a line, and choose a critter and put it at the end there. Always with the arrow facing to the right. And so the first thing that you can do, what you're trying to do is you're trying to flip these cards or grow those sprouts into succulents, flip them, and try and get them into the top row. At the end of the game, if you've got them in the top row, they're worth 2 points. If you've got them in the middle or bottom row, they're just worth 1 point. And so that's the whole point of the game. Grow your succulents and try and get them into the top row, because that's where you're going to get your most points. If you can grow your succulent while it's next to one of the jar pieces, then that will flip the jar piece as well, and you'll get a bonus action at the end of the game. So that's a really nice a bit of planning that you have to consider. Try and grow the succulents while they are up against this end or this end, actually touching the jar, because then the jar like that will flip and it'll give you a bonus action at the end of the game, which is really critical for you maneuvering those succulents into the top row. But let's just, I'll just demo this to show you how this goes. Let me get my pointer. Okay, each of these sprouts have got little nutrient icons on them at the top and at the bottom. Okay, you can see there's a water droplet, there's a gumdrop, there's a little box of nutrients, there's a, I don't know, maybe like a lightning bolt. Each one of these cards have got icons at the top and the bottom. And you also notice some are grayed out. That's telling you what icons will be available to you once you grow that particular succulent. So when this card flips, you'll also get access to that icon and this icon. And that's really important to planning. With this game, you have to plan ahead as to which succulents in which order you grow your succulents, because as you grow them, each one flips and gives you access to these grayed out icons, which you will need to grow other succulents. Some of the icons you need to grow the succulents are actually at the moment grayed out. So that's a nice little nice little push and pull there, where you have to plan ahead and make sure you grow your succulents in order to access these grayed out icons. But when you start the game, you basically work with the ones that you've got, and those are the colored ones. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get 3 of those in a row. So those icons are considered in a row at the moment, and these icons are considered in a row at the moment, okay? There's a row at the top and the row at the bottom in the soil. Now, on your turn, you've got 2 actions you can do. You can move a card up into another row or down into the bottom row, or you can move a card. A second action you can take is moving a card along the line and inserting it anywhere you want, as long as you're moving the card in the current direction that the critter shows, which is to the right. So let me give you an example of how this works. When you start playing, you're looking for, okay, where can I get 3 icons in a row so I can grow a succulent? At the moment, I'm looking at, let me see, I'm looking at the box icons. Okay, I've got an icon, a box there, or a cube here, and a cube there. How can I get them in a row? Well, for my first action, maybe I'll just move, remember you can move one up or down. I'll move that card into that row, the top row, and now these 3 cubes are considered in line. And then so you've got 3 in line. You look for the succulent that requires 3 cubes, and that succulent is sitting over here. So I can grow that succulent now. But remember, I've got one more action. Don't waste your action. So I can move another card up or down, or I can move a card along the line. So maybe I might take another action and move, seeing that there's a lightning bolt icon there and a lightning bolt icon here, I might move this down and get those 2 in a row. So they're next to each other now. And if I can find the other lightning bolt, get them in a row as well, and that might work well for me. So there's my 2 actions. Like I said, your actions are move a card up or down, or insert it somewhere else in the row, following the direction that the critter is telling you. Okay, so now that I've finished doing my actions, I am now going to grow a succulent. You have that option now. So as I said, I've got the 3 cubes in a row. I am going to grow this succulent. Okay, so all you do then is you just flip it over. And that is the aloe vera. I've got some of that in my garden. And the minute you grow a succulent, that's really great. You notice you get access to more icons, like 2 more icons, which is critical to get the green ones. But also when you grow a succulent, you have to do what the card says. And this is of benefit to you most of the time. Shift one plant to a different column on the same side of the critter, and then move it to the top row. That just reminds you of a rule that you can never move past the critter. Yeah, if the critter was in the middle here, I can never move across it. That's just a rule. And I always have to move in the direction that it's saying. before I do that action on this aloe vera card, I should remind you that the critter is like your timekeeper. After every turn, that critter will keep moving across the board until it gets to the end, and that will be the end of the game. Okay, so let's do this action. Shift one plan to a different column on the same side of the critter, and then flip it to the top row. These are your columns, considered columns, okay? 9 columns. So what should I do? Maybe I will move this lightning bolt or energy icon towards where the other energies are. What do you reckon? Again, but unfortunately, I have to move it to the top row. So I'm going to move it along here. It's on one side of the critter, so that's all right. And I'm going to move it to the top row. So see how I've moved him along, scooch everything across so they're in line. Sometimes it's hard to keep them beautifully in line, but you can manage. So that's the end of that turn. I've taken my 2 actions. I've grown a succulent, and I've done the action that the succulent tells me to do. And this is that part of the turn's finished. The next part of the turn, if you follow the turn orders on the critter card, which is really helpful. And then you have to take damage from the critter, and that is he will damage, it says, the closest right card, which is this one. And damage just means dropping it down 1 level. So that'll drop down like that. That's the damage. You can use the damage to your benefit and your advantage. It doesn't always feel like damage, but if you can plan ahead for it. So I think that's a good part of the strategy. But in terms of the game, damage just means moving 1 card down 1 row. And then finally, what does the critter say for us to do in the turn order? Advance the critter. So now he moves this way and flips, okay? He moves this way and flips. And so now he's second in the row. As I said, when he gets to the end, game's over. Okay, and now you notice his card says we can only move cards to the left if we want to take that action. Okay, so now I am looking to try and, you can notice it doesn't look like a big 1 straight row anymore. Now it's starting to look a bit chaotic, but that's the beauty of the game. Remember, I'm trying to grow succulents that are touching the edge of the jar, because I want these jar cards to flip. Because if you do manage to flip one, as I said, it says take up to 1 bonus move action at the end of the game. When the critter gets to the end, that's technically the end of the game. But then if you have flipped any jar cards, that's when you get to do those final actions, final movements. And those are critical sometimes for you to just get something up into the top row for the 2 points at the last minute. Or maybe you might even be able to move something and get you to grow another succulent. So I find it quite difficult to plan ahead to make sure that I'm growing succulents or flipping the cards next to the jars. But hey, that's the fun of the game. So why don't I do one more turn? I'm looking for icons I can match. I've got the energy icons here. If I can get them in a line, that would be good, and I can, because I'm just going to take 2 move action, moving the card up and down action, if that's what it's called. So I'm going to move that down there. Actually, that's just 1 action, and I've managed to do it. Look at that. Just by moving it down, these 3 energy icons are in a row, and so now I would grow that succulent. Where is it? It's over here. See, this sprout tells me it needs 3 energy in a row. So I managed to get the energy in a row, and so I grow this. So then I flip this over. Okay, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but it's a beautiful looking cactus. And then once again, I've got access to more icons. That's really important. Remember I said, because you need those extra icons on the flipped cards to fulfill some of these other requirements, particularly this one. This is a killer. You notice that the 3rd icon for those 3 is sitting here grayed out. So you have to plan ahead. I've got to grow this succulent to get this icon so I can grow this succulent. So those decisions are really fun in this game. Okay, so I need to do this action after I've flipped this and grown this cactus. Swap the 2 edge plants, then move 1 to the top row and 1 to the bottom row. These are the edge plants right at the back. So that's got to go there and there, and this one's got to go here. One to the top row, one to the bottom row. I'll put that one in the bottom row maybe. I don't know why. I'd be planning a little bit better. And I'll put that one to the top row. Okay, that's how we go. And then once again, we move to the, I've grown a succulent. We look at the critter. What do I do next? I do the damage. This time it's the closest plant on the left gets damaged. So that comes down. Might help me, hopefully. And then the critter moves. Okay, the critter will move this way and flip. And now we're moving to the right if we have to move cards. So the critter goes there and that moves. So now he's in the third spot. He's creeping across to the end. All right. So let me pause it here and show you what they call the sunlight phase might look like. Okay, just imagine this is the end of the game. I've had 8 turns of trying to move these cards around and getting them in order. So I've got 3 icons in a row, hopefully trying to grow succulents that are next to the jar. And on this occasion, you can see the critters got to the end, which signals the end of the game. And I've managed to flip this jar card and this jar card. So now we enter the sunlight phase before the end of the game. And all that means is you get to do the actions on the flipped jar cards. And they're basically saying take 1 more move action there. And over here, it's again, take 1 more bonus move action here. So most of the time, what you're going to do with these actions is to get grown succulents into the top row, because there it's worth 2 points. Here they're only worth 1. Also, make sure you check before you do that if you might be able to, at the last minute, snag a 3 in a row, icons 3 in a row. I don't think I'd be able to do that. So really, my last 2 actions, for this jar, I'll move this succulent up to the top row. And for that jar, I'll move this succulent up to the top row. And then I would score. Scoring is super easy. Those ones in the top row are worth 2 points, and the ones in the middle or the bottom row are just worth 1 point. So, and the ones that are not grown are not worth points at all. 2, 4, 6, 7. That's a terrible score. Okay, but I have done a little bit better. But that's Glass Garden. That's where the game ends, and then you shuffle up and go again. It's very, very quick. But again, this is a game about planning. This is a game about planning ahead. Don't just see 3 icons in a row or potentially 3 icons in a row and think, oh, I've just got to grow that one while I can. No, you've got to start thinking ahead a little bit and grow your succulents in a certain order that will benefit you, give you extra icons, get them next to the jars. It's not just a free-for-all, oh, just grow whatever you can. And I like that. And look, if you just want to play like that, where it's just grow whatever you can, it's still fun and relaxing. But this game at least allows you to think a bit deeper, if that's what you're feeling like at the time. So that's Glass Garden. It's a really fun little solo game, and it's just come out this year, so you can get yourself a copy from Button Shy on their website if you feel like it. Thanks for watching.